All right, guys, in this video, we're going to kick it off by getting the files in place. We're going to import the tracks. We're going to get organized. We're going to evaluate the tempo of the song, and we're going to listen for gain staging. We're going to see how hot this vocal was recorded. Is it too loud, too soft? And we're going to use clip gain to pull it up. And then we're going to get into a little bit of cleanup and start diving in and just walk through mixing this vocal, and I'm going to take you through it step by step. So first things first, let's get these files into the session. Done a little bit of pre-mixing to the piano in the room. Save us some time because I want to focus primarily on the vocal. And the lead vocal into play here. If you've purchased my mix series tutorial, the training course, then you'll have the mix template. If you purchase this as a bundle, then you'll have the mix template as well. And that'll be great for you because then you'll have the lead vocal routing already set up. You see the buses and how that goes out to the all vocals. That's going to help you to be set up for us. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to hit play and take a listen and get to know this song. I'm just going to hit it from the top and we're going to see what we got here.
When I was hanging by a thread, you left me there, you left me there. Oh, above your emptiness, you left me there. Oh, make amends to this brokenness. Meet me halfway, I once begged. Oh, instead I strangled on. You just stood and watched me fall. Oh, again. Cut me down, you cut me down. From my core straight to the ground. Cut me down, you cut me down. To this darkness now I'm found. Let it rain, Lord, let it rain, soaking up this healing pain. Wash away memories of what was slain.
All right, so we have a solid performance. We've got a good song. We've got a very emotional experience with this one. And we want to help it out. Now, before we get into the creative stuff, I hear some technical things that could be better. First off, there's the volume is too hot. It's recorded too loud. And we want to have a more conservative level because we want to give ourselves enough headroom on our master bus so that we can mix more conservatively and handle the loudness a little bit more on the back end rather than pushing these faders up. And I see whenever I hit play here,
You left me there, you left.
It's already getting up there. It's not clipping, but we don't want it even close to clipping. So I'm going to bring that down probably anywhere from 7 or 8 dB.
You left me there, you left.
Cool. It gives me a little more room before I start working with plugins, and that's clip gain. You could be using a trim plugin if you're in Pro Tools, I think a 9 or earlier. I think clip gain is a Pro Tools 10 thing. So moving on from that, we've got the level reduced. If you're not in Pro Tools, you probably have a trim plugin or a similar technique to clip gain where you can bring the overall input of that track down before it hits your plugins or your fader. And that's what we want to accomplish there. So we brought that down. Moving on from there, the other thing that I noticed is it doesn't sound like he used a pop filter or a windscreen. It sounds like the plosives are cutting through, hitting the capsule of the mic a little bit too hard, and that's not pleasing to the ear. So what we want to do is I want to address that. I'm going to find a section where he's kind of laying into it. Let's take a listen and see if we can find a good spot to use this as an example.
Where the sunshine plenty upon your face, there was hope.
Yep, there we go right there. There was hope. Now, there's only so much you can do whenever it hits it that hard. The wind hitting the capsule like that is a pretty unfortunate thing to have happen. But let's take a listen what happens when we clean up this vocal. in a vocal, there's not much below 100, if anything. That I will just say there's nothing below 100 that you need. There's nothing below 100 that you want in a vocal sound, in a vocal recording. So just get rid of it. A lot of home studio guys were not used to receiving files that were compressed or EQ'd prior to us getting it to mix. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and just quickly remove everything below 100. Let's take a look before and after. Now this plugin is it's engaged, it's active, but this band now is going to be bypassed. So we can see with the analyzer and the fab filter what's going on here.
There was hope.
And you can see right there, everything below 100 hertz just jumps up whenever he says the word hope. It pushes out a lot of air and it freaks out those frequencies and they jump at us.
There was hope in a
Cool, you hear that. Now what happens whenever, watch what happens whenever I engage the low cut high pass filter.
There was hope in
It's gone. So it's gone and that's great, but there's still kind of a character thing going on there that maybe we can address with some EQ a little bit later on, maybe some multiband compression. But that's the basics of cleaning up a vocal 100 hertz. I'm finding more and more when I'm mixing that it's even closer to like 150 hertz that I'm using, and maybe do a not such a steep slope on it. So instead of 48 dB, you can see right here how this is really, really tight. It's really steep. If you take this and go down to like 6, well, then you've got a much more gentle slope. I'm finding that if I use something like a 12 and pull this up, I can go, excuse me, as high as like a 150 and feel like I'm not missing anything out, not missing out on anything in the vocal performance. So let's try this technique here. Let's listen to this section, and I'm going to slide this up and back and forth to try to get a vibe of where I feel like I'm missing anything in the vocal. We'll slide it up.
where the sunshine plenty upon your face. There was hope in another day. Oh, and here our love devoured by this lion of deceit. To quench a guiltless feet, he squealed and gleamed.
Yeah, so there's not really anything going on between 130 and below. So I'm okay with leaving that there. We'll check up against it in a little bit. When we start adding some compression, we're going to bring up those lower volumes. So we'll keep an eye on that. But about there looks good. And this song was recorded live, so we don't have a tempo map to go by. But what I do want to do, you'll see at the beginning, I'm in Pro Tools. I've got 120 as a standard tempo. I'm going to pull this open. I'm just going to kind of tap in what he's doing, maybe by section. So let's start off at the beginning here. Open this up so you can see it. Drag it over here. I'm going to tap the T key. Okay, cool. Just want to get it close. So I'm going to set the tempo to about 54 to start, and then I'm going to move forward to another section.
You cut me down from my core straight to the ground.
I'm going to tap it in again.
Cut me down, you cut me down to this darkness now I'm found.
Cool. So it's a little faster in this area. It's about 60. And then I'm going to move over here. And you could get really tedious with this and go bar by bar, but I'm not going to do that. That's totally to your taste. I'm going to come to this section where he picks up with the piano and do the same thing. Cool. And that got us at about 65. So you can see we're gradually increasing. Let's go to where his vocal comes in and do the same thing.
Rolling golden medals on my high. There was a time you used to roll where the sunshine plenty upon your face. There was hope.
Cool. And we're back down a little bit. He calmed down once he started playing. And you're going to see when we get to the effects how this is going to help us out. We don't want to put a nice slap delay or something to tempo, or not a slap delay. We would use milliseconds for that. But if we don't want to put a quarter note or a half note delay and ride that up and it be completely off. So just by going section to section, that's going to help us to kind of establish a feel for the tempo, not necessarily a perfect tempo map. So moving on from that, now that we've got kind of a vibe with the tempo, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to skip de-essing for now because I don't feel like de-essing is going to sound, you're not going to hear those S's until we compress it. And then once we compress it, they'll be a little more noticeable, and we'll go in and clean them up with some de-essing and show you a couple techniques for that. So we've pulled the overall volume down with clip gain. The other thing that I do want to note before we move on to compression, kind of bouncing around, is I want to look at using clip gain. This is a new way that I'm using clip gain, and I want to show it to you guys. Let's hit play from what would be a good section to show. Probably this first section. We've got some real dynamic, it's a dynamic vocal altogether. So let's try to treat it with some clip gain. Let's listen to this.
When I was hanging by the thread, you left me there, you left.
Cool. Obviously, we're getting louder here, but by a thread is practically unnoticeable. So I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to select thread, and I'm going to bring that up a lot. Let's go 5 or 6 dB. Cool. Now that's standing out more than this phrase, so I want to tighten that up. Let me say, I'm used to using clip gain by sections exactly like this. And what I'm about to do, you're going to see is kind of a different approach. I haven't seen this, I haven't seen it taught this way. I haven't seen it used this way. And it's something that I've recently started doing that I'm really, really excited about. And it's almost using clip gain for a more natural sustain for the vocal, to create a more natural sustain of the vocal, a more natural performance, as opposed to using compression to just smash things and bring up the lows and reduce the highs, all that good stuff. So what I want to do is show you, I'm used to coming in and just like, hey, this whole section, trackpad glitch there. This whole section is louder, so maybe drop this down. So now it's more, comparable to the first part. I'm used to using it like that. That's how it's been taught to me and pretty widely on the internet. So now what I want to do is I'm going to show you a new way. If we come in, let's focus in on this section right here. Probably not that close. And let's listen to the beginning of this note. I'm going to mute the piano.
When I was hanging by the thread.
Cool, we pulled up thread, but listen to the start of this.
When I was
When I is barely audible.
when I was
And then I jumps up at us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a breakpoint. If you're using the Smart Tool and Pro Tools, you can put a breakpoint there. And put a breakpoint out here. So now the only thing that will be, oh, look at that, impacted by these moves is within those two breakpoints. And if you look, I want to pull this up, but I don't want to pull it up like this, because you're going to create almost a, like splitting the audio file right there. And if we zoom in, you're going to have a pretty dramatic difference there, here, where it drops off. So what I'm starting to do now is I'm starting to use a more gentle approach where I'm sweeping into it. And that's going to feel much better. So let's take a listen to that.
when I was hanging by when I
Without it.
when I was when I when I was
Listen to the difference between when and I. Here's with the clip gain,
when I was
and then without it.
when I was
I jumps out in this performance, but then whenever we use a clip gain, it's got a more balanced tone. So we're going to help out the compression that we're going to apply. We're going to help out the compressors by leveling out some of these performances.
when I was hanging
I was hanging could probably come up a little bit. So let's put a breakpoint there and one before the peak. And let's try pulling this up a little bit. Let's see what happens there.
when I was hanging by when I was hanging
Without it,
when I was hanging
and with it.
when I was hanging by the thread.
And hanging. And put some love into this section. Now with here, it might sound cool to do like a little crescendo almost of the vibe. So I'm going to delete this breakpoint that we initially put in, and you'll see everything kind of swoops up and it gets louder as that phrase continues. So here it is. Let's take a listen.
When I was hanging by the thread, you left me there, you left.
Very nice. So you like, if you like what I'm doing there, feel free to try it on your own. Go throughout the song, test it out, It's gonna help the compression, but it's also got a certain vibe to it that that I'm really digging. Moving on, a good way to use clip gain also is to come in here to the peaks. You can see that's much louder. You can hear it, hear the difference.
You left me there, you left me there. You left me there, you left me there.
Cool. So there, right here, we can probably select that. Let's go. Let's give it a shot, just a couple dB.
You left me there, you left me there.
Very cool. And I like the way that kind of helped control it a little bit. Let's listen one more time to that whole section with the piano.
Well, when I was hanging by a thread, you left me there, you left me there. Oh, and above your emptiness, you left me there.
Let's go ahead and get this.
Oh, and above your,
Can maybe add some character with a crescendo.
oh, and above.
Put a breakpoint there. Let's maybe pull this up a little bit. Put a point there. And let's see what we can get to happen for this guy. So by increasing that, we're making this other stuff sound much softer. So we're gonna bring all of these lines up quite a bit. Let's go 5 for now. Very nice. I really like that. But now this section, before it, sounds like it doesn't fit. I believe the lyric is above. So let's try deleting this. So we create a sustain above going into your emptiness. And then let's try pulling it back. It's a lot of massaging, so this is not a quick thing. This is kind of a feel, go by feel, trust your ears. Like I said, I'm just starting to use this clip gain in this way, so it's something that I'm still learning and I'm still growing with and I'm still trying out. I don't necessarily go to this every time. The past couple mixes I have, and I really like what it's given me, and you can hear the difference here, but I want to try to control the vocal before I start smashing it with compression, and I think this does that well. Let's listen one more time and then we'll move on. Very cool. So it's not perfect, but it sounds really nice. Let's take an A-B one last time of this section. Let's clear the clip gain and bring it down. We had it about right here. Let's take a listen.
Well, when I was hanging by the thread, you left me there, you left me there. Oh, and above your emptiness, you left me there.
Cool. And now with our clip gain.
Well, when I was hanging by the thread, you left me there, you left me there. Oh, and above your emptiness, you left me there.
Very nice. So I really like that. I think it does I think it serves a great purpose. And as we compress it, you're going to see that things get even more balanced out. And this enables our compressor, it keeps our compressor from having to work so hard. So moving past de-essing for the moment, we're going to pull open this 1176 and I'm going to talk to you about peak limiting. Peak limiting for me is something that, or not for me, but in general, is going to be where you're going to, as it sounds, you're going to limit the peaks so that you can control the dynamic of the performance. I'm going to come over here and let's use this as an example. You're going to set a really fast attack and a fast release. You want it to kind of hit and get out of the way so that it can knock down the vocal or transient of whatever it is that you're using compression on, peak limiting on. You want to knock it down to try to balance it out so that that peak doesn't just jump out at you. And let's, I'm probably botching that explanation, but hopefully you get the point. Let's take a listen and see how this is impacting the vocal performance.
Rolling gold and medals on my high. There was a time you used to roll.
There's a great example right there of how this peak limiter is working. I prefer to show ABs as opposed to running my mouth a bunch about what it's doing and the science of it and the technical side. Let's listen to it and let's see if we can feel the difference. So here's without it. Time just jumps out at us, and we almost don't hear much of the other one. So, and then with the compression, it's going to help control it a lot. Now the volume's a little bit louder for this. So we can back off the output and lower the volume so that we have a good AB. Yeah, there you go. Where the sunshine plenty upon your face, there was hope in another. Now hope, that's one where ClipGain could help us out. You select this. We used we got rid of some of that with our low cut filter, our high pass filter. Get those confused sometimes. You just start yapping. But anyways, let's pull that down and see what we got now. There was hope in another. Here's without it. There was hope in there was hope. There was hope. And then back with the ClipGain. There was hope. Let's help it a little bit, kind of control it, reduce that a little bit. And we could always go in and apply some extra EQ just to that phrase, maybe highlight it. That's probably worth showing. If we pull this open, let's pull open this section. Okay, I'm going to let that loop for a second. Let's come back to the EQ. That's a frequency that we don't want. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to listen to it. Okay, cool. So in there is, I got kind of a wide bell, but if I don't want to apply that EQ cut across my entire vocal track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take note at about 110 at a little bit of a wide bell. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to pull open the Fab filter as an audio suite plugin, and I'm going to come to 110 or so is where we found it. I'm going to drop that like this, and then I'm going to highlight. There was hope. There was hope. Just about in there to the beginning. Probably just for, I'm gonna leave the OP alone. We just want the H. So we can just get that right there. Process that. Oh, I pulled up in the stereo version. Let's go to the mono version. Same thing. Pull down, you can see it twice. Pull down 110. Healthy drop cut there. And let's process that. Very cool. So now it's processed. That clip gain is okay to be back up like that. It just means that it's back at the default. And let's listen. There was hope in another. There was hope. Here's without it. There was hope with it. There was hope in another. Cool. Hopefully you hear that difference. It's kind of cleaned it up a little bit. You can go through and do that throughout the track if you hear anything that pops. It's a good way to clean up vocals that hit the capsule of the mic a little bit too hard. All right, so back to this 1176. Let's take one more look. Let's go out here to a peak. You can see it working again. By this lion of deceit. Very cool. Bypass it. By this lion of deceit. By this lion. And then with it. By this lion. You could just hear the compression slightly clamp down on that to prevent it from jumping out at us too much. So we're working on controlling the vocal, but I don't want to smash it yet. I don't want to compress this too much. I want to let it breathe a little bit. It's got a beautiful song, lots of dynamics. I don't want to take too much of that away. Let's come here. After I've got the peaks under control a little bit, I'm going to pull open the LA2A. Let's go down here to the gray. I like the gray. If you don't have the UAD compressors, the 1176 LA2As, most DAWs come with some stock versions. Compressors are great. I'll in a later video show you how to walk through setting up your stock compressor to get somewhat the same effect. These give an extra kind of saturation, a little harmonic character to it that I like what's going on, but it's subtle, so nothing to to freak out about if you don't have these plugins. Let's take a listen now. Let's add some compression. Let's most importantly get this set up to where the volume difference is practically the same.
Oh, in here I love devour.
Okay, did you see how when I unbypassed it, the sound got much louder? So I'm going to drop my gain.
Oh, in here I love devoured by this lion of deceit.
And that's much closer. So the volume's even now. We can get a better understanding. We can get a better A/B back and forth to understand if we like what we're doing or not. Sometimes you may add this compressor or add an effect, and if it's louder, you're going to automatically think it's better. Louder is better, right? Not necessarily the case. So let's lower the volume. Let's keep them balanced, and that way we can get a better judgment, make a better judgment call. So let's add some compression.
Oh, in here I love devoured by this lion of deceit. Oh,
Okay, so again, you want to go to a high point. You want to go to a point where you have some peaks, and you want to listen to how the compressor's reacting there, because you don't want the tone to change too much between what's getting hit by the compressor, and then some of these lower phrases are not going to be affected by it at all. Let's take a listen.
from the depth of our own demise, watch me rise, I'm gonna rise.
Cool. So just soft, gentle compressor. Let's come here.
Oh, in golden meadows, oh my heart, there was a time you used to roll.
Cool. So we're getting some compression there. Let's listen to that without the compressor.
There was a time you used to roll. There was a time you used to roll.
Cool. So you can hear we're not slamming it. We're just controlling it a little bit. I hope you can hear that difference. That's a big thing. Fast rewind, play that back a few times. Get familiar with the sound of what the compressor is doing. Now we've got a bit of compression going on. Let's come back here and let's find how I like to do my de-essing. I like to listen to a section that's got the S. Oh, excuse me. Airplane mode doesn't work for alarms, I guess. Instead, let's pull the volume of the vocal up for just a second.
Oh, instead I
Strangled on. You know, I'm listening to this and I still don't feel like de-essing is necessarily necessary. I think after we use some parallel compression, we'll notice that we'd like to de-ess it a little bit. But just to explain how I use de-essing, I put it before the compression. I like to pull that back before it gets boosted up in volume or hit with the compressor, so that it's the first thing that happens. If that doesn't make sense, it's a way to control it a little bit before I'm boosting the volume of the level with compression. So moving on from that, I'm going to skip de-essing for now, and we're going to get over here to parallel compression. If you haven't seen my YouTube videos, there's a good explanation of my walkthrough of this setup. I'm going to give you another one here. So if you haven't seen it, you don't feel lost. How I work with vocals is I have this lead vocal track up here, and I send that out to a lead vocal level. Instead of going to my 2-bus, or if you're using stereo buses like I am in the template, instead of going just to all vocals, I'm going to a vocal level, which is an aux track right here. See that? It's receiving the signal lead vocal level, and that then goes to my all vocals, which then hits the 2-bus. When I parallel compress, which is almost all the time with vocals, I've got a lead P comp here, parallel compression. I'm going to pull open a couple compressors, and you'll see this is not going out to the main outs. It's not going to the 2-bus. It's also going to the lead vocal level. So these two tracks are meeting essentially at this track, where I can then add additional, that I get the blend that I like, and then I can add additional EQ, compression, multi-band compression, maybe a little more de-essing. Maybe there's something harmonically like a distortion or some character I want to give the track. I do it there once I get the blend of the compression the way that I like it. So we're going to walk through that now, but I wanted you to understand. So I'm sending from this main vocal track to an aux called lead P comp. We're going to unmute that, and we're going to pull in some compression. Now, let's see. I really like the UAD 1176 stuff. If you've got Pro Tools, you can use the Bomb Factory 1176 for this, and slow to medium with a fast release. I'm going to use the low ratio of 4:1, and we're just going to kind of vibe this in let's start with this compressor and see what this, just one compressor. Let's see what just this one compressor gives us. And let's make sure we got some level. Yep, that level's up. It's being sent into here. So now you're going to hear this track, and you're going to hear the parallel compression as I raise it in.
Meet me halfway, I won't spend. Oh.
Actually, there's no compression happening, so I'm going to increase input.
Meet me halfway, I won't spend. Oh, instead I...
Cool. You didn't hear it because I had the volume down, but I was just triggering the compressor to start working and to give me a bunch of compression. Now we're using parallel compression here. The simple way to explain this, right now I'm going to show you what using one compressor for parallel compression will give you, and then we're going to send, we're going to back down on this compressor, and we're going to use multiple compressors. So let's take a look at this.
Meet me halfway, I once begged. Oh, instead I strangled on. You just stood and watched me fall.
Let's come out here to a part that's a little more dynamic.
Let it rain, Lord, let it rain, soaking up this healing pain.
So you can hear this vocal, that's a good spot, healing pain. You still get some of the transient from the original vocal track here, and then the parallel compression is bringing in this level of fatness that I just really love. So let's blend this up again.
Soaking up this healing pain. Oh, I should.
So that phrase right there, we're going to loop it, and I'm going to mute the parallel compression.
Soaking up this healing pain. Soaking up this healing pain.
So up, healing, pain, those three syllables, they still cut through a little bit, give some dynamic, some transients are cutting through, but the parallel compression is helping to add some sustain and some warmth, some fatness to this this vocal performance. So here's the parallel compression with just one compressor.
Soaking up this healing pain. Soaking up this healing pain.
Back off.
Soaking up this healing pain.
Very cool. So I know you're hearing the difference of that. Now what I want to show you is I like to use multiple compressors. I don't want to rely too much on one compressor for to do all the heavy lifting. I want to stretch it across multiple. So let's do an example of that. Come out here to where he's getting a little more hype, a little louder. And let's take a listen at set this compressor, watch me, and then we're going to talk about it.
Rolling golden medals on my high. There was a time you used to roll, where the sunshine plenty upon your face. There was hope in another day. All
right, so this compressor is doing a good job. I mean, it's working pretty hard, but that sounds good. I'm not mad at that. But what I want to do is I want to try to back off of the input on this one, so this compressor doesn't have to work so hard. And I'm going to add maybe at least one, maybe two more compressors in series, so that this one can serve a purpose, but not have to do all the heavy lifting. So next, I'm going to bring in something that I've started using a lot for you guys. If you're on a stock plug-in system, the Massey L2007 can work good for this. The limiter, for those of you guys who have the Waves, the L1, L2, pretty similar vibe with this plugin. But I really like Isotope and their products, and Nectar just happens to be one that I'm using a lot now. So I'm going to pull open this limiter. You can see it's cranked all the way down just to get the to the volume, but you'll see we're not really doing too much reduction. I think about 5 or 6 at the most. So let's bypass this. Such a big interface there. We're going to pull that down for a minute. It's bypassed, and we're going to take a listen before and after.
Where the sunshine plenty upon your face. There were golden medals on my high. There was a time you used to roll, where the sunshine plenty upon your face. There was hope in another day.
All right, so what's it doing?
Oh, and here our love devoured by this lion of deceit.
Cool. So we're getting between 3 and 6 dB of reduction there. Excuse me. And I like that between the two of them. Let's see what this is getting now.
Golden medals on my high. There was a time you used to...
Very cool. So that's, 5, 6 dB. And then this one's got an additional 5. What are we at? Like 10, 11 dB or so. And the my understanding of parallel compression and the way that I've learned it is to hit the compressor at about 10 dB or more for reduction and blend that in. So we're at about that point now, and it's starting to feel nice and fat. We're starting to get a nice smooth tone from it. There's a little bit of dynamic still in the vocal, which we like. And if stylistically you're working on a pop or whatever style, hip hop maybe, and you want to kind of eliminate some of that, we'll get to vocal automation is where I would handle that. I wouldn't smash this all to death and back, but definitely would want to include some vocal automation for it as well. You may throw another limiter on here. We've got a preset that Dave Pensado introduced. It's got all kinds of stuff: saturation, de-essing, EQ, compressors. Everything's going on this guy. It's a chart-ready anthem preset in the dance electronics section of Isotopes and Nectar. Who knows? Let's see what that does to this deal here. Let's hit play, bypass it. Let me get a level set for us.
When golden medals on my high, there was a time you used to roll, where the sunshine plenty upon your face. There was hope in another day.
Okay, cool. We're gonna listen a little more closely here. Let's loop that. Let's pull up the volume a little bit. Excuse me. So you're gonna feel it pretty much flatlines our vocal. So let's take a listen to that. I took the effects off while we were listening there, set a level for us. Let's check it out.
Golden medals on my high, there was a time you used to roll. Golden medals on my high, there was a time you used to roll.
Cool. Now that vocal is dead. That's squashed. That's not going anywhere. There's quite a bit going on. The EQ's pretty drastic. So this may work in a certain setting. And for now, I'm going to turn it off. But I just wanted to show you, don't be afraid to add other elements to your parallel chain and blend that in. You never know what may work. But something I did notice is that I feel like this performance is very, it's almost too clear. And so I love using distortion and harmonics to try to clean things up, to try to give it a little grit, give it a little something to help push it forward. And there's just a post on Pensado's students over on Facebook. If you guys aren't familiar with that, go check it out. There's a pretty great group, lots of great groups coming up on Facebook. But the topic was started by my partner in crime over at the Pro Audio Files, Matthew Weiss, and how he pulled open a lo-fi plugin from Pro Tools. Let me pull that open. You guys will see that right here. And he pulled this up on Snoop Dogg's vocal, and he took the distortion up to 0.2. And he was asking the question, how do I teach instinct to know that I know to do this? And I didn't have an answer. I just think over time, you learn to pick up those kinds of things, and it's something that just with hours and hours of doing this, you guys are going to get better and better. Myself, I'm still getting better and better. And it's just a part of the journey, a part of the growth. And Graham over at the Recording Revolution had a post that was all about Da Vinci and his struggle for, I think when he hit 30, he started to mature. And so then from 30 to 46, he had all these journeys and all these different experiences that led to him painting the Sistine Chapel at age 46 or something like that. So his greatest work came from all of the ups and downs that come with, a career. So anyways, my point, harmonic, this 0.2 actually does make a difference. And because I brought it up, I got to show you now. So let's slap that over on top here. And we're going to bypass it. And then I want you to listen really carefully for what it does.
When golden medals on my high, there was a time you used to roll.
And with it.
When golden medals on my high, there was a time you used to.
And I think it's worth showing in solo, just so we can get a closer look. Let's loop it. Here's without it.
When golden medals on my high. When golden medals on my high.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's doing something, and it's contributing at 0.2. So like Matthew's question, how do you teach that? How do you know to instinctually go for something like this? Well, I'm going to try the best I can. I'm using Alloy 2, and I feel like I'm getting a similar vibe. Let's hear it before.
Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart.
And it's really, really subtle, but it makes a difference. And when you have a bunch of subtle moves over the course of a mix, that ultimately can equal a much better sounding mix. So less is more. This is pretty light on the difference, but maybe not also, because that's triggering what's going into the compression, and that's really helping out the parallel compression as well. I can hear that making the vocal just kind of stick out. It gives a little grit. Let's open up Alloy and show you. So I'm throwing this all the way to the tape, and I'm just kind of pulling up the drive until I feel something. So here's off.
Whoa, and gold and medals on my
Let's pull it up together.
Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart.
Cool. And why I chose tape was I went through, and what I did is I drag all the way to retro and listen to the retro all the way up.
Whoa, and gold and medals on.
And then warm.
Whoa, and gold and medals.
Much more gentle. Tube is crazy.
Whoa, and gold and.
Right? So what I did is I went through and I listened to an extreme version of that distortion characteristic, and I picked the one I liked the best, which for my taste happened to be the tape. And so by using the tape distortion, you hear that fullness. Let's do it one more time.
Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart.
So between 4 and 0, I hear quite a big difference between them, and I like what's going on. I like what's happening with it. So just one thing to think of before you get into compression or EQ, maybe try harmonics, adding character, adding some distortion to the tone. It depends on how it was tracked. If you know that the person recording it just threw it into an inbox or just a home audio interface and put a mic through that channel with no EQ, no compression, no anything, this is kind of the approach I take with a vocal like that. Granted, this was a Neumann U87 mic, and it was in a really nice space, but the mic was still sent to a pre with no EQ, no compression, nothing, and we're having to work with that. So this may be something to think about. You may not be getting vocals every day that have been sent through a 1073 Neve pre or some kind of harmonic saturation or any character. So this is going to work well for you. I like the Alloy. The lo-fi worked great. One more attempt at showing this. You may pull open if you're a UAD user or you have some kind of tape machine. Let's come over here and I could show you like the Studer. And we got that Studer pulled up. Let's get a level so we can set the output for us.
Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. Whoa.
Can pull that up a little more.
Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. Whoa.
That's much better. All right, now let's pull it open here and let's see what kind of character that can give the sound.
Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. There was a time you used to roll.
Oh, okay, so that sounds pretty sweet without it.
Whoa, and gold and medals
With it.
on my heart. There was a time you used to roll, where the sunshine plenty upon your face.
Cool. Man, I really like this one, and I do use this one quite a bit. Let's go to, looks like we were at kind of the high point of the song. Something important to check when you're adding just any plugin in general, a good rule of thumb would be to go to a high point in the song where that singer or that performance, that instrument, is going to be hitting the loudest peak, and test that plugin up against that section as well as a softer section. So for us, the vocal, obviously we have some compression, but the Studer is not seeing that compression because it's instantiated before our compressors and our parallel chain. So so the Studer is getting a very dynamic signal sent into it. So we want to make sure that something like this doesn't happen. So if we had where it was originally set at.
Whoa, and gold and medals on my heart. There was a time you used to run.
You can see those going to the red. That may work for a song, a particular style, or in any certain circumstance. But for this, I wanted it to be a little more gentle. And that's what we ended up with there. So good things. Starting out with some harmonic character. We got the Studer, the Alloy. We covered lo-fi a little bit. Gave a shout out to Matthew Weiss and all of his crazy talent. And I think up next for this particular track is going to be some EQ. Now we've got this parallel compressed pretty solid. Moving on, I'm going to cover in the next video, getting a little long with this one, we're going to go into the EQ, some de-essing, and multiband compression. And then we'll get to sends, effects, delays, slap delays, reverbs, all that good stuff. And we'll catch that in another video. So click on over to that next video and we'll see you there.